It's time to sell Cole Palmer, but which Man United attacker do we bring in and captain? Welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are well and you're looking forward to Game Week 3. In today's video, we are going to see three options with what I'm going to do with my team. We're going to talk captaincy, we're going to talk flagged players, and as always, we're going to talk wider strategy. So look, first of all, let's just have a look at my 15-man team. As things stand, I'm fortunate in the respect that I don't have major surgery needed. There are owners out there with Aït-Nouri, Saka, Jorginho Rutter, Cole Palmer, and they've got a lot of flags. More flags than the UN, some might say. I don't. I just have Palmer with that flag. And in terms of updates on Saka and Aït-Nouri, I think it's very unlikely. Like Saka's 3-4 weeks. Aït-Nouri's probably not playing this week. Palmer, a little bit more of a doubt. I mean, we did see Matt Cole, well-regarded journalist, tweet yesterday. I've been told that the likelihood is he'd missed the weekend with a view to coming back after the international break. However, there is a chance he makes the weekend, and Maresca will very likely give us more on Friday. We'll see if he's in training on Friday. Don't knee-jerk sell Palmer just yet until we have more information. But I'm assuming that he's probably out, right? But we're going to go through different scenarios with this team of if he's not out and if we get that information or not. So as I look at my team, I'm happy with the makeup of my squad. And the defenders, I should add, I've not had a single DEFCON performer yet. And I didn't pick defenders for DEFCON. I picked Murillo for DEFCON, and I've not had it yet. It's worth noting there have been some DEFCON beasts in the game, okay? So when we look at James Tarkowski, Matthijs de Ligt, Lacroix, Vandenberg, and Senesi, they've had DEFCON in both their first two games. That's 4 additional points for Tarkowski, who was so close to making it in my team. Lacroix's been excellent, so Senesi. Worth noting, whilst Lacroix's got DEFCON, someone like Munoz has had clean sheet, same as Lacroix, but also had an assist. So, you know, swings and roundabouts, but worth noting there are some DEFCON magnets out there, and this has changed the way we pick our teams, and we need to adapt accordingly for sure. The midfield, less happy with. The defence I'm happy with despite the DEFCON, but the midfield, of course, there's been some picks there that haven't been performing, and Florian Wirtz has been sold en masse, and we can see transfers out ahead of Game Week 3 so far, and these numbers are massive. By the time this video goes live, these numbers will be much bigger. Wirtz has had a price drop. Ollie Watkins is being sold en masse. I own the 2 most sold players this game week, and I'm keeping them both in my team, I should add. Fortunately, I don't have Bowen too, and Bowen would be an immediate sell, but Wirtz has good fixtures around the corner. Ollie Watkins has great fixtures here and now, and there's not necessarily a like-for-like replacement for them, especially knowing I've got a major doubt over Cole Palmer. That's where my attention with transfers, it surely just has to go. Salah, Reinders, fine. Dewsbury Hall we'll talk a little bit about later, because at the moment, the way my squad is set up is Dewsbury Hall will always either be first on my bench or in my 11. It's a mixture of either Dewsbury Hall or one of my premium defenders for that bench spot, as I go between 4-4-2 and 3-5-2. And then up top, we've spoken about Watkins, and Joao Pedro has to be the most in-demand man now. Like Joao Pedro, brilliant performance last time out, which we're going to look at in more detail. So I'm going to show you the 3 options soon. But guys, can you do me a favour today? If you get something from this video, if you like this video in any way, shape or form, make me a promise that you will hit that subscribe button if you're not already subbed. That's all I ask from you. If you get something from this video, do hit that sub button. Obviously, I'm going to comment and reply to all the comments, and do hit that like button. Thank you so much, guys. Man United attack. The best way of illustrating this for me is always the visual stuff. For some, it's data, and I obviously take into account the data. But the visual stuff with the pass map and the average position is important to me. I want to know how close players are to goal. I want to know how involved they are with the bigger bubbles or bigger passing lines. Now, this is Man United's average position map and pass map from Game Week 1, where Matheus Cunha played as the 9. And here, I want to evaluate Cunha versus Mbeumo versus Bruno. Now, I just want to go straight away off the bat and talk average position, and then we'll talk more about data. So, whilst we're looking at the map, we can see Cunha's been playing number 9. If Sesko comes in, Cunha does not play that role. Cunha plays the Mason Mount role. What does that do for his numbers? You could argue that's his more natural position, but you could also argue that lessens his goal threat because he's not the focal point. I'm not so sure. We saw him thrive as a number 10 in that Mount role for Wolves, and I think even if he moves and he's playing off Sesko, I expect no dip in his data. I don't think. And Burmo's position is fixed. He's always played there. We know he plays there, or played there in a slightly different system at Brentford, but that's his role. And Bruno this season, this is absolutely his role. In a midfield two, alongside either Casemiro, Ugarte, or even Mason Mount at the end of the game. Last time out in game week 2. But Bruno, again, most XG chain, most progressive passing. A lot is going through Bruno Fernandes. But he's not as close to goal. So when we're evaluating which of the three is the best pick, well, it comes down to personal opinion, and actually the fixtures really matter. So let me show you the fixture ticker, and when we talk Man United, if we want someone for 1 week only, who has the highest ceiling? I'd be inclined to say Cunha or Mbeumo. But if I'm looking for a pick over the next 5 weeks, and when we pick our players, they should be for 5 weeks, then Bruno Fernandes comes with, I think, the higher floor. And when I talk about floor, it's because he gets the 2 DEFCON points in a lot of these games. We've seen him get DEFCON already this season in game week 2. Will he get DEFCON against Burnley? Maybe not. Will he get it against City and Chelsea? I think so. So if you need this Man United player in your 11 for the next 5 weeks, Bruno is the best pick, I think. But he's also the most expensive. But if you're looking for a 1 week punt, then, or you're looking for a captaincy option, I would argue Cunha's the best pick. Cunha's data's the best. Cunha looks, in terms of eye test, I think the best in terms of most lively. But over a longer period, Bruno has the DEFCON and he has the penalties, and those things are more likely to happen over a larger sample size. So for me and my team, well, again, it also comes down to budget. Cunha's had a price rise, 8.1, and Burmo 8. But Bruno's $1 million more than that. You've got to spend $9 million to get Bruno Fernandes. So that's where I am with Man United. If I'm ranking them for long term, Bruno at 1. If I'm ranking them for short term, it's Cunha at 1. Now, my team, I've got 2 different options based around Bruno and Cunha because, again, budget matters. We'll talk more about that later. Whilst we're on the fixture ticker, though, let me draw your attention to Chelsea's fixtures. Cole Palmer is a fairly dangerous sell, I would say, if he is fit. Because even if we think he's going to feature versus Fulham, and look, by the time this video comes out, you might know more about Cole Palmer, okay? But as I record it, highly doubtful. But I would argue Brentford away is an all right fixture. I'd even say Man United away is an all right fixture for Cole Palmer, the boyhood Man United fan. Brighton at home's a very good fixture for him. And then sure, it's Liverpool in game week 7, but not far into the distance, he has a really nice stretch of fixtures again. Watch this space with Cole Palmer. If he's completely out, he's a sell. If he's doubtful and you think he plays, you could start him versus Fulham. And if you've got a good sub 1, he's a legit option to come off that bench, right? If he doesn't play, he's either going to start or he's not going to feature at all. I can't see Cole Palmer coming off the Chelsea bench and getting 10 minutes. So you put him in your 11. If he plays, great. If he doesn't, you have a good sub 1 ready to go. Some don't have that option as a good first substitute this week. So again, that's team dependent and matters. We're going to see the 3 versions of my actual 11 in a second, but there is another player that comes into the conversation when we're talking about Man United attackers. Because for me, I want Bruno Fernandes as my first choice, but I don't think I can afford him if the second part of that move involves Semenyo. And I need the money to get to Semenyo, which means Cunha perhaps is more attractive. Why do I want Semenyo? Well, guys, the fixture ticker we've just seen, and Bournemouth are right at the top. Tottenham away isn't the best entry point, but Brighton, Newcastle, Leeds, Fulham, it's just a really good run for Semenyo, and actually the fixtures continue even beyond that. He is a shot-hungry FPL beast. This is what we want in FPL, and when we look at his average position map, obviously he's high and wide on the left. This is the same as when we look at Liverpool with Mo Salah, and Burmo when he was at Brentford or even at United. Saka at Arsenal. The most advanced man on the pitch, the attacking outlet, the main threat in attack is actually the wide forward. The players I've just mentioned, this is the average position map they have. Semenyo at Bournemouth is no different. Semenyo at Bournemouth, always high. He didn't start the midweek cup game, which is brilliant. Give him a nice little rest. He is the first name on the team sheet at Bournemouth. He is the guy that takes the most shots. He is the guy that's often closest to goal. He should have hauled in game week 2, guys. This average position map against Wolves, he missed 2 big chances. He blazed them both over. That's the one thing I'd say about Semenyo is he's not the most composed finisher. 2 good finishes in game week 1 at Anfield. But what Semenyo does, and I've said this if you've watched my content earlier this week, he only knows one finish, and it's to lace it, hit it hard. And with that, when he hits the target, it goes in more often than not. But when it doesn't hit the target, it's often high and wide. And you're like, oh, why didn't you go for placement? He doesn't do placement. He took a penalty last year and he laced it. He scored. And actually, penalties is interesting because if Kluivert's not on the pitch, Kluivert is now back fit. But if Kluivert isn't on the pitch, and we don't know if he gets straight back into the 11, it's a coin toss between Evan Nilsson, who missed a pen last year, only took one, and Semenyo, who scored a pen last year, only took one. I feel like Semenyo could get them, you know. He's the main man at Bournemouth. I love the fixtures. I really, really rate the team, and I think they'll score against Spurs. And I want Semenyo. I know I want him if I end up freeing up funds for Cole Palmer. Let's just go back to my 15-man squad. When we look at it, how do you get a player around that 7 million price point into this team? Because I don't have that price point covered. Very difficult for me to upgrade a Dewsbury Hall. Reinders is a lock. Salah is a lock. Wirtz, Palmer, Dewsbury Hall, all perhaps up for grabs. Not desperate to sell either or any of them unless Palmer is, of course, out. Now, if Palmer's out and I go to a Man United mid, I can use those funds to get to a Dewsbury Hall, and we'll talk about to upgrade Dewsbury Hall, and we'll talk about that later. And I love a world in which Dewsbury Hall becomes Semenyo, but that doesn't happen with Bruno, but it does with Cunha. But first, look, let me show you my 3 different scenarios. So option 1 is a 4-4-2 and 1 free transfer, and this is simply Bruno coming into the team, Cole Palmer coming out the team. It's 4-4-2. I can still start all my good defenders, including Daniel Munoz against Villa. Some might say bench him and start Dewsbury Hall, but I think I would go with Munoz over Dewsbury Hall, who would be on the bench there as my first sub. This would mean captain in Bruno. Of course, if you're bringing in a Man United player, you're going to captain them. It would leave me 2 million in the bank and 1 free transfer. Now that 2 million is not enough in the bank to upgrade a Dewsbury Hall to the player I want. I could upgrade Dewsbury Hall to a Kudus. I could upgrade Dewsbury Hall to anyone below 7 million. But I know who I want in that spot. And it's not Ismail Assar, it's not Kudus. I think they're great, but I'm sure it's Antoine Semenyo. So look, this is option 1. It gives me a great captaincy option for game week 1. It gives me Bruno, who I'm very happy running with in my 11 for the foreseeable future. But it doesn't give me the ultimate stuff. I would say this is like probably 25% likely. I think that's where I'm at. I'm going to save the percentages to the end of this video, and I'm going to talk captaincy, so stay tuned for that. Let me know if you like this team, by the way, in the comments, and thank you guys for hitting those buttons today. Remember our promise. I'm going to show you option 2 and 3. Before I do, I want you to check out the OneFootball app if you fancy. This is the best football app out there for me. It lives on the home screen of my phone. Guys, in game week 1, when Man City were beating Wolves, I wanted to check the score. Great, to Gianni Reinders in my team, smashing it. But I'm like, oh, Aït-Nouri, how many DEFCONs is he on? Straight away, I can go to the data on OneFootball and I can see tackles, blocks, interceptions, clearances. I can work out straight away as DEFCON, as well as seeing all the live in play stuff. But it's more than that. It's the football press conferences. It's the video clips, the highlights of every Premier League game. It's free. It's a no-brainer. Download it now. Link in description or on screen with that QR code. Option 2. Guys, you may have noticed I'm liking 4-4-2 this season, and I do think that's a theme people will use and managers will flock towards. There are points up for grabs in defence. Have a waste man like Mark Guillou on your bench and a enabler in midfield and get to a 4-4-2 would be my advice. But look, this is an interesting 4-4-2 because it's benching Florian Wirtz. Now, I don't like Liverpool-Arsenal for a fixture. Arteta comes and he parks the bus. But the big headline here is I've used 2 free transfers with this team. Straight away, Palmer goes to Cunha, and there's enough money because it's Cunha, not Bruno. There is enough money to go Dewsbury Hall up to Semenyo. That's quite sexy. I quite like that. Now, Semenyo would have to come into the 11. I can't buy Semenyo and not put him in the 11, can I? There is a version of this team, of course, this squad, where I just do Cunha and I leave Semenyo to next week. And I start Wirtz. But I think Semenyo over Wirtz this week. Look, I could also bench Daniel Munoz with this team and put Wirtz in the 11 and play a 3-5-2. That would be an option. But the basis of this option is getting Semenyo in your team, getting Cunha in the team, and of course captaining Matheus Cunha. I like the captaincy high upside pick. I think that would be loads of fun. This leaves me with 0.7 million in the bank and 0 free transfers. Now that 0.7 will be really useful because in a couple of weeks, I'm going to want an Arsenal defender. In fact, as soon as Arsenal have done the next couple of fixtures, I'm buying an Arsenal defender and I'll be upgrading one of my probably Forest defenders. So that 0.7 will be really useful coming in handy. So that is option 2 and it's big on Cunha. And it's big on Semenyo for the reasons we've discussed. We've seen at the start of this video, if you did skip to this, by the way, you might want to go back and just see the 2 minutes analysis I did on Semenyo and the 2 minutes analysis I did on Man United. That is towards the start of this video. I know everyone skips to the team reveals, but that's the juicy stuff. And then we'll look at option 3, shall we? So option 3 is, so we go back to that original team. Well, this is no activity. This is Dewsbury Hall, Guiu and Esteve on the bench. It's 0.5 in the bank, which is what I've had since game week 1, and it's 2 free transfers. So I'm starting Wirtz, I'm starting Munoz, and I'm starting Cole Palmer. This is Cole Palmer in the 11, right? Now, best case scenario here, Cole Palmer starts. Worst case scenario is Cole Palmer doesn't get any minute, or worst case scenario would be a cameo off the bench, right? 1 pointer. But that's not going to happen. Dewsbury Hall would come into the 11. Dewsbury Hall versus Wolves is a fine pick. Yes, I'm looking to sell him if I have funds available, but as a 5 million option, I'm happy with him. Taking penalties, playing number 10. A bit worried about all of Everton's signings. He probably ends up moving to the midfield too, but he'll be good for DEFCON and he still might probably going to take set pieces. He's going to be a good pick, not a great pick. I'd have 3 free transfers next week. I like this play. If I like Joao Pedro captain, the $1 million question with this team is, am I happy captaining Joao Pedro? Now, let me just show you a captaincy poll, guys. I tweeted this earlier in the week. Are you likely to captain a Man United attacker? Now, we had like nearly 1,700 votes. 43% of the engaged FPL audience on X are going to have a Man United player in and they are going to captain him. Most will be Bruno. There'll be a few on Cunha and there'll be even fewer on Mbeumo. I get it. It's the best fixture to target. If you're in Haaland, you could go there. You may have a punt on a Chris Wood if you own Chris Wood. I like that punt. But for me and my team, it's bring a captainer in, like a Man United player, or it's go Joao Pedro. I'm not going to be captaining Mo Salah this week versus Arsenal. I don't like that matchup. Am I happy with Joao Pedro captain? Guys, he was the heartbeat of absolutely everything. Did I show you the Chelsea average position map earlier? I don't think I did. Let me put that in now. This is how Joao Pedro set up, right? This is Chelsea versus West Ham, the demolition. Joao Pedro played number 10. Joao Pedro, you could argue that's his best position. Whether he's a 9 or a 10, he's involved in a lot. He's playing just behind Liam Delap there. The best thing about no Cole Palmer playing is Joao Pedro gets to play the 10 and be involved in a lot. But most importantly, he becomes probably the main man in that attack, but he takes penalties as well. I'm sure he'll have the pens over Liam Delap. I'm sure he will. No guarantee. But Joao Pedro's going to be a good asset with Cole Palmer in the team because he'll benefit from his creativity and he'll probably be the 9. But even without Cole Palmer, you could go he's even better because the penalty appeal. Although you could also argue less creativity up top. They were so impressive versus West Ham. They've had a free midweek. West Ham went to Wolves and lost after playing this game. But Fulham, of course, were involved in the League Cup as well. Chelsea didn't play a League Cup fixture. For once, they get more of a rest than their opponents. Obviously, that's going to flip. Fulham won't be involved in European football and Chelsea will. For the time being, I think the momentum of Chelsea in the Club World Cup, I think the momentum of Chelsea scoring 5 versus West Ham, I think there's a sky-high confidence and I'm perfectly happy captaining Joao Pedro. But I also feel there's huge upside in Cunha. So where am I at? Let me go back to option number 2. This is Cunha in and Semenyo in, right? This is probably the most likely scenario for me. I think I'm probably 40% likely to go for this, option 2. I'm 35% likely to go, I'm doing the maths here, 35% likely to roll, and I'm probably only 25% likely to go Bruno in. The reason I don't want Bruno in, despite me thinking he's the best United pick, is because I want Semenyo. And that 0.9 really, really matters. The press conference news on Friday will determine a lot. I will be streaming at some point on Friday, so come and join me for that. And I'll also then reveal what I'm doing and confirming. But that's where I'm at. At the moment, I'm option 2, Cunha captain. But I'm very closely behind option 3 and Joao Pedro captain. It's very unlikely I go for the Bruno in and captain move because I want to get to Semenyo later down the line. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Hit those buttons on the way out, and I'll see you very soon.